Rain hammered the jagged cliffs like 1,000 fists striking steel. Darkness clung to the canyon walls, broken only by the faint glow of flares. Below, 187 SEALs were trapped, pinned by enemy fire, their radios dead, their exfil impossible. Lieutenant Harper Kane's hands were steady on the console, but her heart thudded like a war drum. Somewhere above, the roar of aircraft engines trembled through the storm, and the thought struck her, the last pilot who tried this route never made it out alive. She swallowed the rising fear, her eyes narrowing on the A-10 Warthog cockpit, its metal skin glinting ominously under the storm. Everyone was counting on her. Everyone was staring at a wall of fire and chaos, waiting for a miracle. Either we fly through hell, she whispered to herself, or 187 men die today. The camera would cut from her determined eyes to the desperate faces of soldiers, their wet uniforms plastered to their bodies, rifles clutched tight. Thunder cracked overhead, lightning illuminating the jagged cliffs, revealing the deadly canyon that had already claimed dozens of lives. And in that moment, one question haunted them all. Could anyone survive where every pilot before her had failed? Asterisk, Harper Kane wasn't a stranger to danger. At 34, she had earned a reputation for fearless, calculated risks. She had been trained in flight combat, special operations logistics, and guerrilla survival. Yet nothing had prepared her for what lay ahead, the infamous Red Canyon, a treacherous choke point in enemy territory, with vertical cliffs, constant artillery fire, and unpredictable weather that had grounded even the most skilled pilots. The SEALs below were elite, men and women who had endured Hell Week, high-altitude jumps, and combat missions others wouldn't dream of attempting. But they were trapped. Their extraction had been blocked by a sudden ambush. A small forward operating base had been overrun, their escape routes cut off. Harper's mind raced through the options. Ground extraction was impossible. Helicopters had tried and failed. Jet support had been considered, but intelligence warned no aircraft had survived this canyon. The walls were too tight, the enemy fire too relentless. The canyon itself seemed alive, ready to crush anyone daring to enter. And yet, Harper had one chance, the A-10 Warthog, a beast of steel and firepower, designed for close air support. Known as the tank of the sky, she ran through her mental checklist: engines, hydraulics, avionics, weapons systems, all operational. The storm intensified. Rain soaked the cliff face, turning the canyon floor into a mudslide. Explosions echoed, sending shards of rock tumbling down. Every second was precious, every mistake deadly. Harper felt the weight of responsibility. She wasn't just flying herself into a death trap. She was flying into history, into legend, into the kind of moment that separated the brave from the forgotten. Asterisk, Harper climbed into the cockpit, the metal cold against her palms. She felt the vibration of the engines beneath her feet, the low hum like a heartbeat counting down. Through the windchill, the canyon loomed, a dark maw that swallowed light. Below, the SEALs tried to maintain formation, firing sporadically at advancing enemy squads. Each flash of gunfire illuminated terrified faces, eyes wide with both hope and fear. Harper gritted her teeth. She could hear the radio chatter faintly in her earpiece, fragments of orders, please, and suppressed panic. Control, this is Kane. I'm going in, she said, voice calm but tense. The response was silence. The storm had knocked out communications. She was on her own. The A-10 lumbered forward. Rain lashed the canopy, wind buffeted the wings. She pushed the throttle, the engines roaring in defiance of the storm. Below, the canyon floor twisted like a river of shadows. Every second counted. A single miscalculation could slam her into the cliff walls. She banked sharply, feeling the G-force press against her chest. Lightning illuminated enemy positions, machine guns, mortars, hidden snipers. A SEAL caught her eye from below, a silent nod of trust. Harper returned it, her jaw tight. She had one shot, one run, one chance to bring 187 soldiers out alive. Enemy fire cracked around her. Bullets pinged against the A-10's reinforced fuselage. Smoke curled from one engine, warning lights flashed. Harper's mind raced, calculating trajectories, altitudes, speeds, angles. One wrong move, and she'd become a statistic like the others before her. She dove low, skimming the canyon floor, narrowly missing jagged rocks. Every second was a heartbeat, every heartbeat a life. Her hands moved with practiced precision, adjusting flaps, banking, firing suppressive rounds to keep enemy fire at bay. Below, the SEALs moved closer to the extraction point, but the enemy was relentless. They were running out of time. Harper felt a flicker of fear, real, visceral. She pushed it down, replaced it with focused dot, then came the first impossible turn. The canyon narrowed sharply, cliffs on both sides, enemy fire raining from above. Her instrument screamed limits. Harper's mind screamed, "You cannot make this." But her instincts, honed through years of training, told her otherwise. She rolled the Warthog with surgical precision, dodging a hail of bullets, engine screaming, metal groaning. She glanced down. 187 lives hung on every movement. She could feel their eyes, their hope, their fear, pressing into her like a tangible weight. The storm worsened. Lightning struck close enough to illuminate the canyon in white fire, revealing more enemy positions. Every microsecond mattered. Harper fired the A-10's GAU-8 Avenger cannon, cutting a path through the ambush. Explosions erupted. Debris flew. Mud splashed over the SEALs' faces, and still they moved. Following the path Harper carved for them, a second impossible turn loomed ahead. A vertical cliff that rose like a wall of obsidian. She had to bank the A-10 almost 90 degrees to avoid it. Instruments warned of stall, but Harper didn't hesitate. Her eyes narrowed, jaw set, fingers wide on the controls. The Warthog groaned as it obeyed her commands, scraping perilously close to the rock face. Before snapping back into level flight below, the SEALs cheered quietly, adrenaline surging. But Harper didn't allow herself relief. The worst was still ahead, the canyon's heart. A gauntlet where every aircraft before her had been destroyed. The heart of the canyon was chaos incarnate. Rain turned to hail, bullets sliced through the air, and every twist and turn threatened annihilation. Harper's fingers ached from constant adjustments, but there was no room for error. A sniper from the ridge fired, striking the A-10's wing. Sparks flew. Smoke poured into the cockpit. Harper gritted her teeth and executed an evasive maneuver, skimming the canyon floor as rocks whizzed past. She could feel the Warthog shudder, but she forced herself to stay calm, eyes scanning, calculating. The SEALs below were pinned against a wall of enemy fire. She could see Corporal Jensen, bleeding but determined, signaling frantically for suppression fire. Harper responded instinctively, unleashing rounds in a calculated sweep. Buying precious seconds for her team. Then came the narrowest pass of all. A section so tight that even a slight miscalculation would scrape the wings against rock, tearing the aircraft apart. Harper took a deep breath. Memories flashed. Her father, a retired pilot. Her mentor, lost in a training accident. Every mission that had led to this moment. She pushed the throttle to maximum, banking sharply. Engines roaring. Metal screeched as the wingtips nearly grazed the canyon walls. She felt her stomach rise with adrenaline, her pulse hammering in her ears. The SEALs below ducked instinctively, aware of the flying metal leviathan above them. Harper's comms crackled, a faint voice breaking through. "You're insane, Kane. Nobody should be doing this." "Maybe," she replied, eyes fixed forward, "but they'll live because I am." A sudden explosion rocked the canyon, debris raining down. Harper yanked the stick, narrowly avoiding disaster. The Warthog shuddered, but held. Her heart pounded like a war drum, but she forced herself to remain precise. Calculating every movement with the clarity of obsession, she could see the extraction point ahead, just a few hundred meters. But the enemy wasn't done. Mortars rained down. Enemy squads attempted to flank. Every movement had to be perfect. Harper unleashed everything, cannon, flares, smoke, to suppress fire and mask the SEALs' advance. A micro cliffhanger, the Warthog's landing gear clipped the canyon floor on a low pass. Metal screamed. She felt the vibration through the cockpit. Harper knew one more mistake could end it all. ***. The final gauntlet was a vertical maze of cliffs, enemy fire, and storm-lashed debris. Harper's training, instinct, and sheer courage were the only things keeping her alive. Every instrument blinked red. Smoke filled the cockpit. She dove, banking sharply, firing suppressive rounds, dodging falling rock. The SEALs followed her path, running for the extraction point like shadows in chaos. Lightning struck dangerously close, illuminating the canyon in white-hot clarity. Harper gritted her teeth, pushing the Warthog to limits beyond the recommended envelope. The ultimate obstacle, a narrow vertical crevice where enemy fire concentrated. Every pilot before her had failed here. Harper closed her eyes for a fraction of a second, feeling the weight of 187 lives, the faces of her men, their trust, their fear. Then she acted. She banked, rolled, and executed a daring split maneuver, the A-10's engine screaming in defiance. The cannon roared, cutting through enemy positions. Sparks flew, metal screeched, debris cascaded. Harper's stomach churned, every nerve screaming, but she held the aircraft steady. Time seemed to stretch. Heartbeats slowed. The Warthog cleared the crevice. Below, the SEALs sprinted into cover, breathing, alive. Harper exhaled, adrenaline and relief colliding in one perfect, terrifying moment. She had done the impossible. She had survived where none before had, and she had saved 187 elite soldiers from annihilation. Asterisk rain tapered to mist, the storm easing. The SEALs regrouped, exhausted but alive. Harper taxied the Warthog to a clearing, engine still humming, smoke drifting from minor damage. One by one, the soldiers saluted, tears mixing with mud on their faces. Corporal Jensen approached, gripping Harper's shoulder. You saved us all," he whispered. Harper nodded, chest heaving, eyes distant yet proud. "Not me," she said quietly, "all of us. We survived because we refused to give up." The camera would pan out, showing the canyon, scarred by the battle, but quiet now. A single A-10 Warthog sat at the clearing's edge, a symbol of courage, skill, and the sheer audacity of hope. Harper looked at the horizon. She had stared into the impossible and come out the other side. 187 lives had been saved, legends had been made, and history had witnessed a feat no one thought possible. Her voice, calm but firm, concluded, "Remember this. Courage isn't the absence of fear. It's action in spite of it. And sometimes, the impossible is just another word for not yet tried, a subtle call to action. Share this story. Tell someone what courage really looks like. And if you felt inspired today, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more stories of bravery and heroism that defy the odds."